Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hi, Rob Tawab La Adam Za'achikam Yawam Manarchado Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam Kaya Hamalakat Hashemayim Kwarab. Repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Layam La La Banawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rochak Wadash Wamashana Laza Kwanyam Nawa Wamala Akyam Shorochak Adar, which is our praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1, and it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world, which he made. All right, and it says, measure thou the time diligently. All right, how this is done is essentially by standing upon our watch. All right, because as pursuant to Isaiah 62 and verse 6, let me get that real fast. It says, Isaiah 62 and 6 says, I've set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, because the Lord has essentially set up the prophets because he is showing compassion upon the nation of Yasharallah, with the elect subscribing to that mercy and compassion, and 2/3 misusing the prophets. All right. Isaiah 62 and 6, it says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence. All right. And the watchmen essentially are setting upon the walls. All right. Because it's spiritually is walls set around the land of Jerusalem. All right. Which represents the people. All right. And the job of a watchman is to preserve, to save a life. All right. So the prophets essentially act as preservationists. All right. And a preservationist essentially, give heed, guard, or observe, because the watchman, all right, just like, when you have the examples of, if you had like a military or something in the ancient world, they will keep 360 security, all right, while you had, some, while they were, say they were, sleeping or something like that, you would have that 360 security, all right, and that essentially was the job of those watchmen, all right, they were to watch out for the safety of those inside those boundaries. All right. And then, they would switch out, but essentially those that were keeping the guard posts, all right, they essentially serve as the watchmen. All right. And they're watching out for danger. All right. So the same sense in the spirit, all right, the prophets are the watchmen and essentially they're the preservationists or for the nation of Yasharallah, all right, the spiritual forecasters, all right, because the prophets essentially have the vision. All right. Going back to, the scripture that said, let me get that real fast. I'm going to come back to I'm going to go back to that Habakkuk. This is 2 Samuel chapter 9, and we'll get verse 9, and it says, it might be 1 Samuel. All right, this is 1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 9. It says, Before a time in Yasharallah, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, thus he spake, Come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. So the prophets ultimately have the vision. All right, they have the vision, and liken that unto a guard post. You got 360 view. You pretty much can see what's happening on the battlefront. So that's essentially the vision that the prophets have been given in the spirit. So the job of the watchman is essentially to it says to keep not silence. So we're watching. All right, what's going on the horizon with current events and matching it up with prophecy. Going back to 2nd Ezra 9 and verse 1. Now let's go back to that Habakkuk. All right, because this is a part of it. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. All right, going back to Isaiah 62 and 6, it says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem. All right, and also it says that tower right there, but this is Habakkuk 2 and 1. It says, it says, I will stand upon my watch. All right, because again, the prophets are the spiritual weathermen, the spiritual forecasters, are the spiritual guard posts. All right, it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. All right, I'm curious what this word for tower says. And it says, let me see, matazar. And it says a defense, a fortress, a stronghold. So essentially, the prophets can, again, see, everything was going on, because they're standing upon that stronghold. All right, they're standing, on the fortress, on the defense. All right. So going back, it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So being that the prophets have the understanding of the vision, all right. Our job as spiritual weathermen, as the watchmen, essentially we relay a message, all right, so that the rest of the believers can ultimately understand it, all right. Reading it back, Habakkuk 2:2, it says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. To make it plain means to make it clear, to make it distinct, so that can be understandable. So it says that he may run that readeth it. All right. And when somebody ran in the ancient world, that showed that they understood. All right. So going back to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 3, it says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which we've been seeing earthquakes and uproars. All right. It's uproars all over the place. All right. It's earthquakes, just about every day. All right. Well, basically every day, which they have an app for it, But nevertheless, continuing on, it says, verse 4, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, because the end was prophesied from the beginning. Let's get there real fast. This is Isaiah, Yeshaya, chapter 46, and we'll get verse 9, and it says, remember the former things of old. I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So the end was prophesied from the beginning. All right, and the Lord is going to do all his pleasure. This is the Lord's movie. All right, that's why when we break the word scripture down, all right, it essentially goes back to a script, you see, because this is the Lord's pleasure. This is his movie, So going back to this, 2nd Ezra 9 and verse 5, it says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right, and I wanted to go into this word for manifest. All right, and it says historical usage and words origin, and this is on Babbel.com. It says the etymology of manifest traces back to the Latin word manifestus. All right, and this should sound familiar. All right, because man, all right, man, that goes into like the hand. All right, you get manual. All right, you got manus or manus. I believe that goes into the hand as well. All right, manifest. All right, you got again the manual. Those things derive from the Latin word man. All right, but it says it says the Latin term is derived from manus. All right, so manus means hand. All right, so if I'm not mistaken, the man and manual comes from the manus, which means hand. But it says the etymology of manifest traces back to the Latin word manifestus, which means clear or obvious. The Latin term is derived from manus, meaning hand, suggesting the idea of something that can be grasped or understood easily. It says historical texts such as those from the Middle Ages often use manifest in legal and philosophical contexts, emphasizing clarity and transparency in communication and thought. For example, in legal documents, a manifest often referred to a clear statement of facts, so pretty much a clear statement of facts, a manifest. All right, it's made clear, it's made obvious, it's so clear that you can grasp it. All right, you can grasp it both, that's legal documents, you can grasp it with your hand. All right, but you can also grasp it because it's made understandable. Your mind, your senses, your perception can understand it. All right, mentally. All right. So I just want to get a couple precepts going into this, you see, because the end is manifest. All right, and what it means by manifest is you can reach out and you could touch it. You can reach out and touch it, but then it also is touching you, So continuing on, let's get a couple more precepts. This is Ezekiel chapter 12. And the reason why I said, it's touching us, you see, because no one is exempt from prophecy. All right. Essentially, everyone has to undergo prophecy. It's just that, the heathen, they on the negative side of prophecy. All right, 2/3 they on the negative side of prophecy. All right, with the prophets essentially going along with prophecy and being on the good side of prophecy, you see, because the elect is destined, to be delivered. All right. So let's get Ezekiel chapter 12 and we'll get verse 23. All right, and it says verse 22, verse 21. It says, And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Yashar'Allah, saying, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth? All right, let's get this in the NLT. And it says, Son of man, you've heard that proverb they quote in Yashar'Allah, time passes and prophecies come to nothing. That's essentially what Jake say. They say, oh, that's not gonna happen in their lifetime. They essentially in that mindset, that this is it. Drake said, in one of his songs, he can't see life being much better than this. All right, so going back, because Jake is in that mindset of everything is gonna be, what it is. All right. Ezekiel 12:22, it says, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Yashar'Allah, saying, the days are prolonged. All right, prolonged meaning, all right, they'll say, oh, that's gonna happen in my descendants' lifetime. It says in every vision faileth. Jake feel like the prophecy is not gonna come to pass. 2/3 is in that mindset. It says, tell them therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will make this proverb to cease. All right, and that proverb is ceasing, you see, because at a certain period of time, Jake was talking shit, scoffing, mocking, and things of that nature, but nobody is scoffing and mocking like, as they once was, you see, because the end is manifest. All right, it's you can reach out and grasp it. You can understand it. You can see it. All right, and essentially, it's touching. Essentially, prophecies affecting everyone. All right. So it says, Ezekiel 12:23. It says, tell them therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Yashar'Allah, but say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision. Hey, the days are at hand. We got the end is manifest. All right, that word in Latin was came back to manus. All right, something that was let's go back to it. It said the days are at hand. So when something is at hand, or when something in Latin, it says the Latin term is derived from manus, meaning hand, suggesting the idea of something that can be grasped or understood easily. All right, so the end can be grasped and understood easily, you see, because it can be grasped, you see, because it can be grasped mentally, all right, because everyone is feeling the effect, you see, but then also can be easily understood, you see, because everybody's undergoing, what prophecy is coming with. All right, essentially things getting into straits. All right, shortages, food shortages, the job losses. All right, what else? The earthquakes. All right, the uproars of the people. All right, everyone is being affected by these things. All right, but the elect, nevertheless, the elect, of course, is going to be good. You see, but the elect essentially is going to still be here as prophecy is transpiring. All right. But continuing on, Ezekiel 12:23, it says, tell them therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. It's not being used as a proverb. At one point, Jake was like, well, yeah, that's not going to happen. This ain't going to happen. You know what you're talking about. But now Jake is asking questions. Jake is being in a state of oblivion, you see, because they ultimately seeing the prophecies starting to take place. All right, but it says, but say unto them, the days are at hand. Hey, the days are at hand. All right, it's easily understood. All right, and it could be grasped. It says, in the effect of every vision. The effect of every vision. The visions is the prophecies. All right, so essentially, Jake, all right, and the heathen is feeling the effect of the prophecies. Now let's get this word for effect. And it says dabar. So let me go back and get this in the NLT. And it says, tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will put an end to this proverb, and you will soon stop quoting it. Now give them this new proverb to replace the old one. The time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. All right, the prophecies is being fulfilled. All right, continuing on, verse 24. For there shall be no more any vain vision, nor flattering divination within the house of Yashar'Allah. For I am the Lord, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. Essentially, through the Spirit, from our elders and apostles on down of Great Millstone, and those of likewise doctrine, we're bringing out this word, all right, and it's coming to pass. All right, it says, for I am the Lord, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall be no more prolonged. For in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word, and will perform it, saith the Lord power. And the Lord is essentially, speaking, all right, through his men, all right, and these things are coming to pass. We're seeing the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, and our enemies. Verse 26, it says, again, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Yashar'Allah say the vision that he seeth is for many days to come. And he prophesied of the times that are far off. Jake, at a certain point in time, Jake was, in that spirit of, oh yeah, again, that's gonna be hundreds of years from now. Jake ain't saying that no more, because again, hey, the effect of every vision is at hand. Verse 28. Therefore say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord power. And the Lord is essentially making good on his word, and the visions, the prophecies are essentially taking place. All right, so I'm gonna get one more and that'll be it. But going back to Habakkuk chapter 2, all right, and we'll get verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Each vision, each prophecy is for a specific time. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. A prophecy would not disappoint, you see, because it has an appointed time. It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So everything is going to come to pass. Isaiah 42 and 9. Let's get that real fast. Let's come back to that. But this is Isaiah, Yeshaya chapter 42 and verse 9. And it says, behold, the former things that come to pass. All right. All the things written about in history. All right. They have came to pass. Everything written about in secular history has come to pass. All right. And things in the scriptures, first and foremost, have came to pass. All right. It says, behold, the former things that come to pass are the things that was written about in prophecy. It says, and new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. All right, essentially going into prophecy. Now let's go back to this Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, So each prophecy is going to continue to play out. All right, and right here in the middle of it, Habakkuk 2 and 3 in the middle, it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. At the end it shall speak and not lie. When someone speaks, all right, how the Lord has set it up is to where, when we speak, we feel it throughout our whole body. All right, and those that are essentially surrounding the speaker, well, they feel the vibrations of those words as well, you see, because the Lord has put vocal cords in our bodies. All right, and they essentially vibrate. So this word is going out and it's pushing forth vibrations. You see, so people are feeling it. They're feeling the squeeze. All right, and it's to the point where, the end is manifest. All right, and when we got that word for manifest, all right, and it essentially said, it can be grasped. All right, it can be easily understood, you see, because right now prophecy is essentially speaking. It's obvious and it's manifest. The Lord has made it to where, it's manifest because, everybody's essentially feeling the effects, So I just wanted to go into that. I don't want to Zaza about Naya Palu as well. That was a beautiful edification to the spirit. Wa I don't want to Zaza Atam Yashlay Lata Wablu as well. You have a good night. Wa Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.